Wow, so I'm standing on the edge of the Guadalupe River, although it's normally on the other side of those trees is where the river bank is. All of this water is not normally here, and the water came right up this hill. I mean, past this house to the road. You can see up there when you're up on the road, you can actually see the water line. And this is like a graveyard. There's a vehicle or an RV truck or an RV wrapped around every one of these trees. And we just found a little dog wandering around here. Looked like it had lost its owners, a little Chihuahua. So I asked some people to take it to the rescue center. But you know, one of the things that's kind of amazing is that it's been, I know that first responders are out there all over the place and law enforcement, but down here, it's all volunteers. And when they found the body just up the river, then the uniformed guys came down here from the command center, but it was volunteers here working all today and all yesterday and last night. I spoke to a number of them who were here. You know what's crazy is that Mystic, the camp where all those young girls tragically went missing, is just around 11 miles up the road. And I've been told this story now by a couple of people. I have to still confirm it fully, but a couple of people told me there was a girl who was on a mattress, and she came all the way down the river and was found a few miles down there. So if that is accurate, that would be just unbelievable. Your heart goes out to these people. It doesn't. It's hard to describe what it's like to be here. And it's getting dark now, and there's supposed to be more rain this evening, so we'll see what happens.
Wow. Lara Logan, really just, when you look at those scenes, those sights and sounds, it just brings back memories of what? What do you think of? Well, Asheville, North Carolina, right? It looks exactly the same, kind of the same situation that went on there. Anyway, we'll talk about it today. Hello, everyone. Robert Imbrielli with you today. Recording this about 2-3 hours before I would normally stream it live. Little scheduling conflict. Got a couple of things I got to get done. And if I'm back in time, I will be in the chat room while this is streaming. If you don't see me there, well, you'll know why. But welcome in. 4th of July. We had predicted, I think a lot of people were talking about this. There are going to be some weird things that are going to be happening. July is sort of a big month. There's going to be a lot of things going on. And there was a lot of predictions about what to expect on the 4th of July as we get into, this holiday weekend. And, there was that David Martin video where he talked about potentially having, pathogens released over fireworks shows. You wouldn't hear the explosions because it would be camouflage in the fireworks. And curiously, I found an interesting correlation that so many fireworks shows were canceled. Did you notice that? There were a couple that blew up ahead of time, right? All of a sudden they canceled them. There were a couple that were canceled because of, planned protests. So it was kind of interesting. It's like we are in July and we were promised that July was going to be a very hot month. And I think, the people that I've been speaking with, the people in my universe, what they talk about more than anything is that the period between June and September this year is going to be very surprising. They promised July was going to be very hot. June was supposed to be a little bit hot, and it was to a certain extent. But now that we're into July, I think things are changing quite dramatically. So we're looking at all this and saying, okay, what do we need to do? And I want to talk a little bit about that today. I want to give you guys a little bit of foundation, if you will, to help you remain calm through it all. And truth of the matter is, we don't know what's coming up next. We don't know who else is going to get exposed, right? So we were told early on to expect the unexpected, and that means you and I, who tend to be on top of everything, or so we feel, that we're on top of everything. We've got a finger on the pulse. We know what's going on. And you can tell by this past weekend, that's not true, right? Really, it's not true. So those of us that think we knew what was going on, what we would expect, we were told that we're going to be surprised. And I think it's fair to say that, some of the things that have happened over the past few days, we're surprised by, right? It's not a hard thing to look at and say, well, this doesn't surprise me. Nobody's expecting a lot of things that are going on. And my sense is, I could be wrong, but my sense is that this is going to accelerate and there's going to be even more surprises expected and unexpected going forward as the days go on. I have an app on my phone that talks about, that warns me every time there's a wildfire in like the 50-mile radius or something like that. And it has been just popping, little fire here, 2 acres here, 3 acres there. I've never seen so many little wildfires. They're getting them under control. They're not out of control, but just the sheer number has me wondering. This area is not necessarily prone to, flash floods except during the rainy season, which won't come until January, February, March. That's when we have our rain. This time of year, very dry. So we're in the wildfire season, right? That's where things can get out of control. So keeping an eye on that and knowing that, we want to remain strong, we want to remain calm, but also flexible. So if something goes off the rails, we don't have to be so much a victim of it. And I think a lot of people will fall into that and they'll go, oh, it's so scary, it's so scary. Yeah, it can be. It's certainly the unexpected, but it's easier to handle when you have a level of preparations. So when I look at all this, and I'm not looking at the individual stories so much, I'm always looking at what's the overarching trend, right? Of all my years in business, this is all I've been doing, is always looking at what's the overarching trend. We know we could look at the economy, or a good example would be the stock market. Oh, it's going down. Oh, it's going up. And if you look at it on a day-to-day basis, you're going to go up and down emotionally, and you're going to crash, you're going to burn out. However, if you look at it over a 90-day period, 6-month period, 1-year period, and you get a sense of what the trend is, that's really what you want to focus on. You want to focus on the trend line. You don't want to focus on the everyday. So I could look at these everyday stories, and I could get one sense of what's going on. I could look at them and I could be very depressed, very angry, very upset, or I could say, okay, what's the trend? What's going on? And I believe right now we're going to start to see players on both sides being exposed. People whom we thought were the good guys may not be the good guys, or they may be influenced, they may be threatened, they may be corrupted, they may, whatever. They may have started out as a good guy. How many people go into politics, start out as really, really great people? Oh, we want them in power. We want them up there. And they get up there and they do nothing. Or they do the opposite of what we thought they would do. You see this all the time, right? And I think we're going to see a lot more of that those kind of people being exposed now on both sides, right? So we may find people on the other side that are actually good guys. Wouldn't that be interesting? Haven't seen it yet, but it may happen. And we're seeing people who we thought were the good guys, maybe they're being exposed to being not so good guys. Maybe there's something else at play. We're going to talk about it. The truth of the matter is, when I look at this, I say, we've got the good and evil, right? That's kind of the way we frame the fight here. Neither side is willing to give up. And we like to say the good guys are winning, but in a war, you win some battles, you lose some battles. Right? That's kind of the way it works, but we don't look at it that way. We want to look at the overarching trend. The overarching trend is we're making progress. Are we there yet? Of course not. But we're making progress. And I think that's a good thing. So I can sense, and you might be able to as well, sense kind of the desperation, if you will, on both sides, right? You don't know what the other side's going to do. They do something, and then there's got to be a reaction or a response from the other side, and they don't know what it's going to be, and there's a lot of uncertainty in it. So to people who say, well, I know exactly what's going to happen, I would say, I don't think you do. I don't think any of us do. Now, you don't know. And that's where we are right now. And this is why it's disheartening for a lot of people to kind of remain strong. But we've got to find a way to find that footing. You can sense also the fear. There's a lot of fear. People are wondering, these floods that are happening and the Epstein thing that came out. All of a sudden, people are like, oh no, this is scary. This is not what we were told was going to happen. Of course. Like I said, a lot of people who think they're in the know and know what's going to happen, they don't really know. And I think the truth of the matter is none of us do. And we're just going to have to accept that as a reality of the world we're living in right now. Now, was that the case in 2019 and prior? No, we kind of knew what was going on. And for the years, I think prior to Obama, I always said the difference between Bush and Obama was simply one thing: speed. That was it. They were the same, but Obama got it done faster. Right? We were moving in the same direction. Obama just hit the gas a little bit harder. So we've got to look at this and we got to say, okay, so where are we now? Well, a lot of the systems are kind of falling off. The wheels are falling off the systems. Where is that going to leave us? I don't know. I think it's going to be a good thing, but we don't know. So I would say to expect the unexpected. Now that's a crazy thing to say, right? So expect the unexpected means you stay strong, right? Inside, and you also remain flexible because, like I said, things can change. And the other big piece is don't react emotionally to everything you see in the news. A lot of people are just blowing up today. They're acting irrational. They're screaming, yelling, and you just look at some of these podcasts and the anger and the fear and all of it coming up. Don't go there. I don't go there, right? Do I look at this? Yeah, look at it. Okay, pragmatically, what's going on? I've got, bits and pieces of information. I don't have the full story. I wish I did. I don't. I'd love to have the full story. I'd love to know exactly what's going on. The truth is I don't have it, and you don't have it either. And pretty much nobody in the podcast community or the media has the full story. We can't. So we've got to take the pieces that we're given, try to connect the dots as best we can, and hope that we're close. So I think maybe the big lesson here for a lot of us, what we need to learn is stop putting our faith in others, right? So we're looking for President Trump. He's going to take care of it. He's going to fix it. And today you're looking at it and going, what just happened? This doesn't make sense. Remember, he was going to go in and bomb Iran. Oh, don't. We don't know, right? You react and you don't really know. So if this is really, truly 5D chess, if that's what's being played here, clearly we don't have the full picture. Clearly we don't have all the information he has. Clearly we're never going to see the full picture, because if we saw it, then the other guys would see it. You can't kind of disclose what you're doing. So I'm going to encourage you not to react too strongly to what's showing up on the surface. Remember, the war is happening on the surface that we can see, but really below the surface is really all the action is. I don't know what's going on beneath the surface, nor do you. And I'm not saying that to belittle you in any way. I'm just saying we don't know. We could see what we could see, but what we can't see, we can't see. Below the surface, above the skies, who knows, right? It's just not visible to all of us. So deep breath, calm down. I'm looking, my goalposts, if you will. Everyone has a goalpost where they say where you could kind of feel that we're actually in a position where we're winning. Mine will be this: when we're no longer censored, when we can get online and talk about health, we could talk about politics, we could talk about whatever topic we want to talk about and not be censored. With the exceptions of violence and the threats and that kind of thing, which is, kind of common sense stuff. But beyond that, the censorship is over the top. It's still very strong. People are getting their accounts clipped left, right, and center. We saw on Facebook last week, a lot of big groups were getting cut off. Okay, they claimed it was a glitch. I don't know, right? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, who knows? But there's still, for me, the goalpost will be when we can come on to all of the social media platforms, not just selected ones, all of them, and say what we say. And not have to worry about losing an account. That's the goalpost for me. That will be the moment where I say, we're winning. We've conquered a lot of it. We're on the other side of it. Until then, we're still in the battle. So the battle's raging, and I think it's accelerating, which they always do, right? What happens at a fireworks show? Right before the end of the fireworks show, what do you get? A lot more fireworks, right? They blow everything off. You get the big finale. And I think we're moving in that direction. We're not quite there, but we're moving in that direction where, a lot more cards are going to be played a lot quicker. And we're going to see things that we didn't expect to see. It's going to have to keep our wits about us and know that we're going to go from there. So our role really is, like I said, to remain prepared and expect the unexpected, to react with interest is the way I phrase it. React with interest, not fear. So the Epstein thing, I'm reacting and I'm looking at it and go, that's interesting. Now I'm asking the questions. Journalists tend not to ask the right questions here, but I'm asking the questions, what's really going on? What's behind this? What's driving this? What are they really trying to hide? Or is this a play, right, for us to see, to react a certain way, to expose more people? I don't know. But I'm asking those kinds of questions rather than reacting with what I'm given, because I know, and you should know this and be aware of this, you do not have the full story. We do not have all the information. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Right? So react with interest rather than reacting in fear. Big difference. I'm interested. Okay, what's going on? Let me ask some questions. Can't find the answer there, can't find it here, can't find it there. All right, I'm not going to get upset about it until I get to a point where I could feel definitively I have all the information, which may or may not happen, right? We want to be the voice of reason. I think that is the key for us right now. All of us in our social circles, we need to be the voice of reason. We can't be in fear. People are looking for pillars of strength in society. That's what they're looking for right now. Where are the pillars of strength? Who has, the calmness about them? Who's grounded? Who is not in fear? Who's not acting like a jackal, right? And just going crazy with the news. We don't want to be around those people. We want to be around the people who are calm, steady, right? And charting a course and moving forward day by day. So we want to be that. We want to be that for our family, for our friends, for our social circle. We want to make sure that that's what we can be. All right. So I would encourage you to do this. I've been saying this for many years, since 2020, since it's really started. Check in, see what's going on, try not to react too much to it, and then get on with your life. 20 minutes in the morning, more than enough. You'll get a good picture of what's going on. Get on with your life. What are you going to do today? What can you do today to advance the ball? What can you do to make the next step happen? What can you do today that will make things better in your life, right? I always look at it in terms of how can I move the needle today? And I've got like 10 things on my list that I need to get done today to feel like I'm moving the needle forward for me. Why? Because when people see me moving forward in a positive direction, it inspires and encourages them. That's my role. I'm an encourager and I inspire people. That's what I do. So if I was in fear and anger and caught up in all those really hard emotions, hard for me to do that. So I would encourage you, check in. If you want to come to our Telegram page, we're posting stuff there regularly now. Check in, see what's going on. Look at it with interest, not fear, and then get on with your day. Do the things that you know you need to do to move on. Look, we want to set the bar as high as possible, right? We want to be the example of what's possible, even amongst all the chaos that we're experiencing. We want to be the example for that. It's important to do that. And then, we want to encourage those behind us to do the same. I walk through this world and I know, not a hint, not a thought, I hope, I know we will prevail. Truth always does. Will it be an easy path to get there? Clearly not. It's going to be bumpy along the way, and I'm okay with that, right? If that's what it takes to get to the other side, that's what it takes. I'm up for the challenge. Let's do it. We're going to get there. And it's going to be so much better on the other side. And we clear out a lot of the crap that's in our society, the stuff that just doesn't work for us, right? The people who are taking from us, the people who are telling us things that aren't true, our media that really just spawns narrative rather than information. We need to get rid of it all. Now, if we talk about narrative, I want you to understand something. There's narrative on both sides, right? We're part of a narrative too. Our side. Is the narrative correct? No, it's been proven many times that it's not. And we've got to be able to shift with that and say, okay, that no longer works, or we blew a hole in that narrative. Let's come back and let's find what the facts are as best we can. Remember, we don't have access to everything. I wish we had the magic crystal ball right, to get in front of you and really get all the information. We don't have it. So we've got to live with what we're given. And, thankfully we have, if you don't have an account on X, I know a lot of you don't, you got to get one. Why? Because if you want to keep up on things, you go there first. That's where all the latest news is going to happen. That's where you're going to find, really what's going on. Long before mainstream media picks up on it, those stories are there. It's man in the street kind of reporting, which I really love. So it's people who are there with their cell phones taking video, posting, and you got a lot of stuff that comes up long before mainstream media gets their hands on it. And oftentimes mainstream media will not cover even a fraction of what you see. So if you don't have an account on X, it's free. Go get one, just to follow along and follow the people that you need to follow who are posting the stuff there. We're on Telegram. I don't post a whole lot on X, but I do use X a lot to follow other people and find out what's going on. And I take a lot of that and I put a lot of that information in Telegram because I know a lot of my people are in Telegram. Telegram, I don't know. I don't know what the future is for Telegram. It was really important when Twitter was censoring everyone. Now that it's X and the censoring's not there, Telegram's less important. And there's, it's one of those things. You look at Getter was the same thing. It was a replacement for Twitter. And Getter's kind of quiet now because everyone's come back over to X and found it to be a much better platform. It's much more refined. It's been around for a lot longer. So things are changing. The dynamics of things are always changing. And our job is to keep on top of it as best we possibly can. All right, I'm going to take a quick little break here. That was a little bit longer of a monologue than I had intended, but I think it's important for us to be clear of mind through all of this. It's the only way we're going to survive. My buddy Matt Geiger he runs VerityMetals.com. As you guys know, I've been talking about him a lot. He is very easy to talk to. I know a lot of people contact me sometimes with questions. Should I invest in silver? Should I invest in gold? I'm not qualified to make those decisions. My decision is both. That's what I did. I got both. So I don't know which way what's going to win, but I have both. So whichever one goes, I'm going to be in good shape. And if the other one doesn't, no big deal, right? So if you want to find out about investing in gold and silver and learn more about it, worth giving him a call. I'll give you the phone number here. It's 480-717-9081 or veritymetals.com/renegade. And there is a free ebook you can grab at that URL, veritymetals.com/renegade, which will give you the ins and outs, top 10 mistakes investors make and how to avoid them. So when you speak to Matt and you're ready to make an investment, you could check for yourself to make sure he's ticking off all the boxes. He always does, but just make sure that you're an informed investor, right? If you're going into this, you're not going in blind, and it's real important that you don't allow a salesperson to talk you into something that isn't going to be for your best interest. It's just one of those things. You got to protect yourself always. All right. Hey, quick question. What happened to the big, beautiful bill? Right? Donald Trump signed it into law on July 4th. There was a lot of brouhaha before. And all of a sudden, it's gone. We're not talking about it anymore. I don't hear anybody talking about it all weekend long. July 5th, July 6th, now we're July 7th. Still nobody talking about it. Very little. I mean, there's a little thing here and there you'll find, but nothing. It's like out of the news now. Well, what was in it, and what are they going to rescind? Remember, they told they're going to rescind some pieces of it that they didn't really want in there. They were going to pass legislation to pull those out. Are we moving in that direction? I don't know. Interesting how the timing of the unnatural events in Texas, kind of took the spotlight away from that almost at the same time, right? July 4th in the morning, he signs the bill, and by the evening, we have the story of the flooding in Texas. Now, guys, I don't know if you've been looking at the videos that have been posted. You look at the meteorological videos, and you could see the storm coming over and then stopping again. Where did we see this before? This isn't new. We've seen this before. You guys remember? Come on. Yeah, Asheville, North Carolina, right? Storm came up, Helene came up and stopped for hours. And it just kept pouring and pouring and pouring. And we had the same situation in Texas where the rain just kept coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. And the level of the water went up. But they were saying at some points it was 47 feet above what would be normal. I'm sorry, if you're faced with a wall of water almost 50 feet tall, there's no combating that. That's going to do a lot of damage. Now, the question we probably should be asking, and some people have started to ask about it, is why? If that was targeted, what's there that they're targeting? What are they looking for? Why do they want the land? Are they trying to put a 15-minute city in? It seems like a sparsely populated area, lots of RVs and summer camps and things like that. We got to look. And, I'm starting to look for that information. I'm starting to see now that the dust is settling a little bit. I think it's still raining there. I think they still have rain. The flood waters are going downriver and starting to affect other towns as well. But it makes you wonder what's really going on. Well, we know, it was interesting watching some of the newscasts today. Oh, there's no weather manipulation. And then the next thing you see is, here's the weather manipulation company. Here's the CEO of the company who is seeding the skies in that area in Texas to increase the rainfall. Maybe they went a little too far. Maybe they don't really know how it works. You mess with Mother Nature, you mess things up, who knows? And then we have the other people with the NextRad radar, and they're showing all the HARP and all the ways that they can steer weather. This is not controversy anymore. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's conspiracy. It's conspiracy." It's not anymore. We're well beyond that. We're to the point now where it's openly discussed. We're at the point now where people are very clear, that this is happening. I mean, for Marjorie Taylor Greene to table legislation to ban all spraying of the skies, is it still a conspiracy? Why would she do that if it was just a conspiracy? Interesting. I've been watching the skies here, and I have not seen, in 2 weeks now, I have not seen any sky art appear. But I hear people in Florida saying it's all over the place. Even though Florida has a state law banning it, it's still happening. So guys, we look at this, how could it be happening if you have a state law that bans it? It's probably happening at the federal level, or it's happening with military above even federal law, right? So we don't know. And it's kind of fascinating that we still don't know a lot about it, and we need to know more about it, and we're not. I am feeling better. My health is better since the sky art went away. It was almost like a day after. We didn't see it anymore, and I started to feel better. I had gnawing health issues that were just there, and they didn't make any sense. They didn't connect to anything. What is going on? You're taking the NAC and the glutathione and all this stuff, and helping, certainly, but not curing totally. Well, you're constantly being exposed to heavy metals or whatever it is they're spraying up there. Kind of makes sense, right? And now they stop doing it, and you start to feel better. Huh, interesting, isn't it? So I want to pay attention more to this story. I want to dig more into it. Clearly, you feel sad a lot for the people who were impacted by this in a negative way. We've lost, I think, 91, I think was the latest count. But that number is much higher than that. Yeah, same like Asheville, North Carolina, right? They said there were thousands that were killed during that. And they just, at some point stopped looking for the bodies because they were buried so deep under the mud and debris, you couldn't find them anymore. So they just stopped looking for them. But they don't have a final count. The official count's like 104, 120, whatever it is. It's way below what it really should be. And there's a lot of people who are still missing there, and as well here in Texas. And, now all of a sudden in North Carolina, we had a very similar situation again last night. So if you look at this, you say, okay, now, remember, we look at the trend. What's the bigger picture? Let's zoom back. Let's not just focus on Texas, North Carolina, that kind of thing. Zoom back. What's going on? If this is weather manipulation, is it weather warfare? A lot of you would say yes. I would agree with that. I think it is. I think that the battle is heating up, right? We're getting close to the finale. And the closer we get to the finale, the more things are going to heat up, the more desperation, the more fear, the more buttons they're going to push on both sides, right? And you say, well, the good guys, how come they can't stop this? Well, apparently they don't have control yet. Apparently we still don't know really who's behind all of it. Who's really controlling, who's really pushing the buttons, right? So there's a lot to go. So I want you to just, know that we're in this, and it's going to be a battle. There's going to be a lot of misinformation. There's going to be a lot of disinformation. There's going to be a lot of, and if I tell you something, I say it is my opinion, be clear about it. Here's my hunch. Here's my hypothesis. Here's what I feel. But I'll never say this is a fact unless I'm absolutely certain that it's a fact and I can prove it. Right? So a lot of what I share with you is just opinion. It's like, but I'm seeing right now, my gut feeling is what I'm seeing is an escalation in the battle between the good and evil that we're faced with. So we're seeing that. And you got to find a way. It's like, how do I get through it? How do I get through it? How do I get through it? Well, disconnect from it, number one, when you can. Pay attention close enough to know there's nothing in your immediate future that you have to be concerned with. Be ready for it. If it happens, you'll know what to do. And if it doesn't, you're in good shape too. It's always better to be prepared and not need, to be prepared than not be prepared and all of a sudden be faced with a situation where, gee, if only I was prepared. So we maintain here, we've got a lot of bottled water, we've got a lot of dried goods and foods and things like that, that if we can't get out or something goes on, or 2 weeks ago, I talked about how the food delivery service to the grocery stores, I think is UNFI was the name of the company, their system was cyber attacked and they couldn't get any food to any of the grocery stores that use them. Not every grocery store use them. A lot of them use the other companies, but that distribution company in particular, a lot of natural foods, health foods, that kind of thing, couldn't deliver. And you walk through the grocery store and there are holes everywhere on the shelves. A lot of stuff missing. That's fixed. It's resolved. I went in there and I said, boy, it's really great to come in here and actually see stuff on the shelves again. And they said, yeah, it was 2 weeks that they struggled. They were taking the heat from the customers. But you got to be prepared. What if there's a bigger cyber attack to a bigger food distributor, and you rely on the grocery store down the street, but the grocery store can't get the groceries in? I always tell people this: go in your grocery store and look at the bottled water aisle. Look how much water there is there. How long do you think in an emergency that water would last? How quickly would it be gone? When COVID came and they shut everything down, it was gone in minutes, right? You remember that in 2020? It's gone in minutes. How long will the food last on the grocery shelves in an emergency? Right? There's not a lot. There's only, 10 packs of spaghetti. There's only, you know what I mean? It's like you look at it and if you look at it from that way, you'll go, wow, we better stock up. We better have stuff available because the thing we rely on down the street may not be there. Or it may be there, but it'll get wiped out and can't get replenished. Then what are you going to do? Right? So always be prepared. Like I said, this is a weird time that we're living in, and not to be scared about it, but just have your head about you, have your wits about you, because it's strange time of year. That's all I'm going to say. Strange time of year. I don't know. It's an interesting time of year. We got a lot to focus on, a lot to do as we go forward here. All right. Let's talk a little bit. Oh boy, the Epstein saga, right? That's really what we got to talk about. Yeah, we got to talk about it. So this is an interesting thing. This is from Axios. Top MAGA voices stunned by Trump administration debunking Epstein theories. How many of you were shocked by that? Okay. Number one. First thing to think about, when did the memo come out? You remember they used to bury stories? They would send them out on a Friday night after the media's gone home for the weekend. Well, they were a little late. They got this one out on Sunday night when the media was not yet back at work. Right? They didn't really come in until, this morning. And then the whole thing started to blow up. But we were on it yesterday. We saw it. Alternative media, people like us who do podcasts and stuff, we saw it. We said, hey, there's something going on here. We clearly, the first clue is something they don't want you to really be talking about. Well, sadly, it blew up in their face because everyone's talking about it today. It's the story. It is the number one story. There's really nothing more to say. People are talking about it. So the cover-up didn't work. I think they want to cover up the cover-up. Is that the way I could say they wanted to cover up the cover-up? Because that's really what it sounds like, right? So the cover-up here is intense, very intense. Now, there are many theories on what's really going on. Now, I'm not going to posit that I know because I don't. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to share with you is what I'm seeing, but it's not, based in, this is exactly what's going on. Everything I share with you is fluid because it is. And, the truth of the matter is we don't have a lot of information. My first question, and, I always ask the logical questions, if you will. Who has 10,000 hours of video at their house? Do you have 10,000 hours worth of video at your house? Well, maybe you film a birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you have a couple of minutes of video here and there. Do you have 10,000 hours? Well, Epstein did. 10,000 hours of video. And Pam Bondi had said, they looked at that video and there were some horrific scenes, sex with children, blah, 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 sacrifices, all kinds of stuff. And she said, what we want to do is we want to block out the identities of the children who were being abused on those videos. So it'll take some time, but you're going to have that. You're going to have those videos. We're going to release those videos. That's what she said. Now what is she saying? Oh, we're not going to release those videos. There's nothing to see there. There's no provable crime. Kind of makes your blood boil, doesn't it? It's like so long we've been like, no. We saw the body that they said was Epstein's body. You look at the photo and the nose didn't match the Epstein we had known. It was like a different body that was used, like a body double, pretending to be dead, or maybe it was dead. Who knows? It got someone from the morgue and put him in there. And then they released the video of his cell. Well, it's just a door. And then there's a 60-second gap there. That could possibly be explained technically. Maybe, you can't record continuously. At some point, you reach a point where there's, you have to switch to a new hard drive or switch to a new file. There's only a minute gap. Not really a whole lot going to happen in a minute. I know a lot of people are making a big deal of it. Yeah, maybe not. How about the camera inside the cell? How come there wasn't that? You're looking at the door. You can't tell what's going on. You have no idea what's going on. Oh, nobody went in there. Well, maybe in that 60 seconds they did. Who knows, right? We don't know what would have happened. They could have hidden it in there, but you could explain it technically. So there's, again, there's confusion. You don't know what the truth of the matter is. So I'm looking at this and I'm asking, okay, so let's look at some of the theories. Why would this be continued to be covered up? What would be some of the things going on? Do you think President Trump's going to take a lot of heat for this? Of course he is. Of course he is. Bongino said all the evidence is there. The FBI has it. Kash Patel said the FBI has all the evidence. We've got it. We're going to release it all. Pam Bondi was on it. She said the FBI has it. They're going through it. We're going to have it. Right? We're told all this back in February. And we're all like, okay, where's the Epstein file? We're waiting. We're waiting for the list. Where is it? And now we're told there's nothing to see here, guys. No. 5 years of us digging stuff up and figuring out what was going on. No, you're all wrong. Go home. Nothing to see here. Wow. That kind of makes you think, doesn't it? What could possibly be going on here? Well, I have a couple of theories. First of all, there's far too much out there. It's already out there that we know about to make us believe that this is true. So I think we're on the same page there, you and I. There's too much out there, too much we know already. Too many dots don't connect in the way they're trying to make them connect and say there's nothing going on here. If there were that many things that you'd have to worry about, then why then would Maxwell still be in jail, right? That would be kind of my first question. If there's nothing to see, what's she in jail for? There are no clients. Nobody's been hurt. Why would she still be in jail? I just ask the simple questions. I mean, I'm a simple guy. I ask simple questions, and you should be asking these kinds of questions too. One thing that came across my radar here that I think I found very interesting, and this you might find interesting as well. Julian Assange, this is from a few years back. The reason the FBI wouldn't let Epstein client lists come out in the court is because if they did, their blackmail would no longer be useful. And the CIA would lose their control over all the powerful people they spent decades setting up. Interesting. This makes a lot of sense. Out of everything I've seen, This probably makes the most sense. So think about this. You've set up a system where you can have ultimate power, ultimate control over all the levers of power. Everyone in the political realm, every one of them, you've got something on. Are you going to just walk away from it? Oh, here's the list. And once the list is out, the whole thing falls apart. And, if you look at the Diddy thing, happened just last week too. Is there a connection between the two? Well, yeah, the same judge. Oh, wait a minute. James Comey's daughter, isn't it? Maureen Comey. Huh, interesting. So now the pieces are starting to connect in a way that they didn't before. Now, I don't know that I've got the whole thing yet, but I've got pieces of it. So you start looking at it, and you got to be asking the questions here. What in the world is going on? Another theory that I have, Donald Trump is having a lot of success right now with the economy. He's having a lot of political success with foreign countries. He's getting our economy back in shape. This could be a massive distraction. Now, he learned from his first term that those distractions really destroy momentum. He's got a lot of momentum right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe let's put this on the back burner. We don't have to deal with it right now. Yeah, you'll have this moment where all the media and everyone's all upset. What's going on? What's going on? How could you possibly bury this? Deal with that for a day or two. It'll be forgotten in 3 days. Life goes on. The news cycle is so fast these days that no matter how big a story is, big beautiful bill, gone, right? In 2 days, don't hear about it anymore. That's all we were talking about last week. So this will be the same thing. A couple of days of, people getting upset about it, and it'll be forgotten. Maybe he just wants to bury it. Maybe too many people in his inner circle are implicated. One thing I've seen a lot of pictures, I've seen a picture of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, your guilt by association, right, is ridiculous, because the truth of the matter is I have taken pictures with so many people over the course of my career. Every time I do a seminar, I come off stage and people say, Rob, can I have a picture with you? Can I have a picture with you? Am I vetting them? Do I know who they are? I don't. I see them. Hey, thanks very much. Smile, you take the selfie, and next person comes up and the same thing. That's the extent of the relationship. So just because there's a picture with somebody else, what does it really mean? But I'm thinking about this and say, okay, so maybe this is a scandal he just doesn't want to deal with right now. And maybe the directive is just bury it for now, and we'll revisit it at another time. Maybe too many in the inner circle are certainly implicated. And I think that's a big part of the story. Julian Assange said, if this ever came out, it would take down most of Washington. That may be true. And again, it could be guilt by association. It could be, but it put everybody into a defensive posture at that point, defending their actions or lack of actions. Who knows, right? I mean, I've got invited to things that were nefarious. I had no idea. And I just went along with it, and just to see what, and then when I got there, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to be here. And I would leave. But if someone was tracking me, they would say, oh, look, you went to that. Yeah, I did. Until I saw what it was about. And then I realized I don't want to be here. And I left. But you may not get that second part, but it always puts you on the defensive, right? Oh, well, we have the proof. Look, we have the proof. Okay. I think maybe a lot of them would end up in that kind of situation. It's just too much of a distraction, too big, too much. And it would kill the momentum. So maybe there's a decision here to say, all right, this has to come out, but for the greater good, let's just bury it for now, and let's continue doing what we need to do to get this country back on track. And maybe later we'll come and deal with it. I don't know. But that's a theory. That's just, like I said, I'm telling you, it's just a theory. I don't know if it's anything more than a theory, but it's a theory I have. Could be wrong about it. Could be totally wrong about it. But, hey, we're entitled to have our opinions on stuff. All right. I want to let you know about my website. Go over to renegademedia.tv if you haven't already and get signed up. And then also there's a link on the top there. All your social medias are there. Sign up for the Renegade account on Telegram. Real important to keep on top of things. If you don't want to go to 50 different channels here, there, and everywhere, just sign up for that one. And, we post enough stuff there that'll give you a good feeling for what's going on in the world on any given day. So you don't have to spend your time going here, there, and everywhere. We kind of do it because we kind of enjoy doing that, but we want to make a one-stop shop. And everything on there, by the way, is shareable. We don't lock anything up ever. And if there are videos that are locked up, it's not us. It's because we shared them for someone and they had them locked. So, for the most part, everything that we post is shareable. It's unlocked and you could download it and post it on your social media. Or like some people like to do, they just put it in their camera roll and they're like, I just want to memorialize the world that we're living in. I want to memorialize everything that we've gone through. And keep looking at it from that perspective and say, 10 years from now, I want to look back and say, wow, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, that was a rough time. Or, that story went away real quickly. Some people do that. We have that going on by default because we're downloading everything on our phones and posting it back up, and it ends up being, a record. I'm starting to delete some of it. I go way too much. I have 16,000 images on there. It's like, yeah, I got to clean things up here. It's a little bit too much to handle, to keep on top of. So not a good thing. All right. What else did I want to share with you as this week goes on? Yeah, the P. Diddy factor is interesting too, looking at that coming up to, there's nothing more here, nothing more to see. Another one being swept under the rug, right? So people are asking, is there a connection there? Well, yeah, there may be. We're going to keep an eye on it and we'll keep watching. All right, if you have questions, love to hear from you. Robert at renegademedia.tv is my email address, and it comes up every once in a while in the lower third there. And, you could follow me or ask me questions. Let me know what's going on with you. If you are, curious about what the week is going to bring, keep on top of it at Renegade Media on Telegram. And listen, there's a lot to follow here. There's a lot to unpack. July is going to be, it's already started out hot. I think it's going to continue to be so as we go forward. So keep your wits about you. Don't get too emotionally distraught with everything that's going on. Not everything is as it appears. It's very clear. We looked at the Iran thing and we said, oh my God, World War III, if Trump goes in. And in fact, it went completely the opposite way. Everything calmed down. So you don't know. And I think that's the way we've got to look at everything, is just take a deep breath. 48-hour rule, minimum 48-hour rule before you react on anything, because more information comes out and you go, oh, that's the way it was presented with all the drama, but the reality is not so bad, not so big. All right, now it makes sense. Right? So 48 hours or longer, some people go 72, some people go 96, whatever. Just try to keep your emotions in check, because we want to be the leaders. We want to be the ones that people turn to and say, hey, what's going on with you? How come you're so grounded when everything around us seems to be going to hell? Right? Well, I don't know. And we want to be the leaders. We want to set the bar for that because we can. And that's what we should be doing. In an ideal situation, and that's what we will be doing, all of us together, being the pillar of society, is just show up as your best, being your best, and living your life the way you need to live your life. That is important, because it's an example. Other people will follow along and they'll do the same. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Love each and every one of you. And I'll be back here next Monday with a show, and maybe something a little sooner. This is an interesting week. Maybe there's more that needs to be uncovered here. Thanks for watching. See you soon.